My name is Rose Berger, and I'm with Sojourners Magazine. I'm also a Catholic faith leader, and we have been working very hard in our various capacities against this bill. We've been meeting with senators, we've been writing letters, we've been organizing against it. And in my tradition, once you have done everything you can do, then the next thing you do is you put your body on the line. So in a very simple way, about 12 of us went to the Hart building this morning. We read scripture verses to the senators, and at some point the Capitol Police arrested us and took us off and processed us. We were fined and released, which I was grateful for today. But yeah, the fact that we were reading the 2,000 scripture verses that talk about poverty and justice was enough to get us arrested. When you do that in the
what is there in the Bible that goes against this tax bill specifically? What was sort of course you're not going to tell us all 2,000, but what's sort of the gist?
I just happen to have a long list here, but the scriptures are very clear in critiquing anything that creates economic inequality. And what scriptures say over and over and over again is that you have to measure your budgets by how they impact the voiceless, the most vulnerable, those who have the least amount of power. If you build it from there, then you can build a strong economy. If you build it based on what the rich want, then you are setting up the seeds for destruction.
Mm-hmm. And did you have something to add to that? Sorry, I lost what I was about to say. Oh, I was going to say, what are kind of the implications of essentially a faith leader being arrested for reading portions of the Bible in the Senate? Does that disturb you?
Part of what I was saying today is, for people who have the opportunity to do any kind of scripture study, you realize that more than half the Bible was written either from prison cell or from a refugee camp. So it's not uncommon, in fact it's deep buried in the book, to read and study and write from a prison cell. And so today we had a little opportunity to do that. We had a lot of singing and praying and reading of scripture while we were in the police wagon and while we were in the prison cells. And that's integral to what it means to be a Christian.
Right, and sort of lastly, at least for me, a lot of people kind of make this distinction always, church and state, that kind of thing, and so they're kind of let church be church and let government be government and don't let them talk about it. We even have the Johnson Amendment that specifically says, basically tries to bar churches from talking about this stuff. Can you talk about the role of faith in economics?
The laws that separate church and state are meant to protect churches from the overreaching of the state. And in terms of the Johnson Amendment, it's important to remember that all churches can be political, and if you're taking your scriptures seriously, you will be political, which is completely different from being partisan. Churches should not endorse a particular candidate or support a particular party, but churches and other faith communities can lay out the values that help people make decisions about how our country should be legislated, should be run, and how we live together as a citizen.
Right. I know there's been pressure to include certain, clauses in relation to healthcare and especially abortion when it comes to from evangelical groups. So you want to talk a bit about that? What your stance is about that?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know much about the abortion inclusions. I know a little bit more about the Johnson Amendment stuff that may end up being in there, and certainly the health bill stuff. I mean, health is we must be a healthy people. That is what creates a strong citizenry, is health and well-being. And that's something that we want every American to have. And so anything that detracts from that and allows people to get sicker, sickens all of us. And the Johnson Amendment, I'm very concerned about the House version getting sucked into a final bill. Because it creates a situation where all 501c3s, which are given a tax-exempt status because they serve the larger society in some way, become just pass-throughs for corporate political interests. And that certainly would be an overreach of corporate power and government into church settings.
Great. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.